Here he is, everybody. It's Tim
Hey Kim.
Sika.
Hey Kim, how are
Hi.
you? Hi.
Good.
Boy, do
How
you
are
learn
you?
a I'm doing good. Boy, do you learn a lot of things watching your show, I'll tell you.
It's true. We have
Yeah.
we do a lot of studies and sciencey kind of things and
Yeah.
some fun things as well. It's kind of a weird mix, but I like it.
Yeah, but it's a public service too. I
There you
mean,
go. Look
goodness,
at
yeah.
you.
That's entertaining too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
The first movie on your list was Furiosa Mad Max. They're back at it, are they?
Yeah, they are back at it. Yes, this one, yes, they are. Yeah. This one, a Mad Max Saga, Furiosa. This is the big, and I do mean big, both literally and figuratively, Hollywood release of the week. And it stars Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth,
Oh.
virtually unrecognizable in his appliance makeup. In this one, he's donning like a Laurence Olivier nose right out of one of Olivier's Shakespeare roles. Anyway, that's what it reminded me of, because if you didn't know this was Chris Hemsworth ahead of time, you would not have recognized him. Anyway, and both actors really crushed their parts in this movie, I should mention. Anyway,
Mm.
this is another in the post-apocalyptic action adventure movies that make up the Mad Max movie franchise. And this is a prequel. The Furiosa role was originally played in Fury Road by Charlize Theron. And in this prequel, a younger version of that character is played by Anya Taylor-Joy. So just wanted to say that. And this is an example. You know, Kim, this is an example of a very good movie. It's
Oh.
imaginative, reasonably entertaining. It's epic, it's grand, it's grandiose, and more, which I'll get to here. But a movie I didn't I didn't particularly like, and I'm going to try to explain that, which probably tells you
Uh-oh.
more about me than it does about the movie. So take all that I'm about to say about this movie with an appropriate grain of salt, okay? Before we, anyway, the plot is a lot. It's Mad Max. It's post-apocalyptic. The setting is years after this global catastrophe. Wasteland outposts
Yeah.
populate the world and what remains. And while there's some kind of goodness attempting to like hold life together in the form of what is called the green place of many mothers, aka the place of abundance, killing and greed and control over resources are the
Mm.
dominant motivators of this warlord named Dementus. He's played by Chris Hemsworth. And so I'll tell you what are the good things, the impressive things about Furiosa. This movie, like its predecessor, Fury Road, which won, I don't know if people remember this, but Mad Max Fury Road won 7 Academy Awards in 2016. That's a haul of Oscars.
Yeah, it is.
And you know, there's really no way of getting around it. This one, like that one, is this miraculous triumph of sound design, sound effects editing, production design, epic scope, imaginative and brilliantly directed, photographed, and staged set pieces. Kind of at times reminded me of a Fellini movie. In short, it's like this virtual cinematic masterpiece of craft. Unassailable, in other words, in terms of pure and very visual movie making cinema, right?
Hmm.
I just never got what my takeaway was supposed to be in any of these Mad Max movies, but especially in this one, because the world that it depicts is it's more ugliness and unpleasantness and depressing.
Hmm.
In other words, there's very little here, almost nothing, except what I just said about the movie's crap that I want
Like,
to
like
bring with me into. Yeah,
if this is the
yeah.
future, we're really in trouble.
Well, oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it. You know, I felt like when it was over, even though I was like really taken by just the way they made it, I just felt like I needed a shower. And so anyway,
Oh
this could go on forever. Did I like it? No. I
no.
felt, like I said, I needed a shower afterwards. But is it art? I think it is. It's this like veritable fantasia of unpleasant imagery and violence and darkness and
Mm.
ugliness. But you know, so are the paintings of, I don't know, Francis Bacon. And if you look at this movie as a painting, it's an impressive canvas, so to speak. It's Yes, it's a sensory assault of ugliness, but also an artistic vision that cannot be denied or ignored. So I have to recommend it. God, I'm listening to myself go on like this. I may have just convinced myself to watch it again. These are essentially grungy action movies, but they're just elevated by the craft. The way they're put together. The director is George Miller, and he's 79.
Whoa.
And it's unbelievable. I mean, he at that age, he boasts the energy and vitality of a director 50 years his junior.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so much to be recommended, but I just, when it was over, I just thought, God, I need to take a shower, but first maybe a shot of whiskey would. So I don't know. I'm recommending it, even though I sound like I'm talking like out of both sides of my mouth. But I'm recommending it. Yeah.
All right, there you go. Next up, The Beach Boys.
Yes, now streaming on Disney Plus is this next movie, The Beach Boys, and guess what it's about?
The weirdness and sexual deviation of the Beach Boys?
No, it's just about the American rock band.
Oh, okay.
Whose forte, certainly in terms of musicality, was, well, for one, their harmonics, but in particular, the enormous impact, the artistry of their main guy, Brian Wilson, had upon the world of pop music. And that's kind of the focus of this Beach Boys documentary. And it's a pretty nuts and bolts history of the band, the individual members' backgrounds, even though they're kind of just semi-portraits. They don't go into a whole lot of detail here. I know fans of the Beach Boys will go, well, why did they leave this out? And why did they de-emphasize this? But it's not a whole lot we haven't seen before. Although, did you know that Glenn Campbell was a member of the touring Beach Boy band for a while?
No, I didn't know that until today, yeah.
That was one thing I did learn, yeah. So anyway, a lot of it's familiar with the occasional thing, with only kind of passing references to the darker personal sides of the members of the band. But what I liked about the Beach Boys was that this documentary's focus tended more towards the band's artistic growth. They were explaining how and why the Beach Boys became so super popular as the poster boys for the California dream, of surfing and sun and girls, how they, unlike the Beatles' artistic approach, for example, went from like super pop to super artists. The Beatles was kind of gradual. They kind of evolved, but the Beach Boys, with the release of one of the greatest albums ever made, Pet Sounds, kind of like went from super pop to super artistic, and then their fans kind of didn't even know what to do with that, even though Pet Sounds has subsequently become a smash commercial hit and is considered one of the greatest albums ever made. Anyway, right. I like that about this. And so, yeah, this is one of those what's not to like documentaries, especially if you love the Beach Boys, if you're a fan of the Beach Boys, if you're interested in pop music history. God, and all those great Beach Boy songs are here to worm their way into your ear. Yeah. So, yeah, I loved it. It's streaming on Disney Plus, so people can avail themselves of it when we're finished talking today. Yeah.
This one, I wasn't sure which was the right poster. Is it this or is it this?
It may be both, but I think it's the first one. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
we'll go with that.
Yeah, that's the one.
Chris Pratt and Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. The Garfield movie. Yeah, this is an easy one to rag on. For one, it's not the best kids movie out there, but it is a kids movie that's out there in theaters. So, if you have a family and you have kids and you want to take them out to see a harmless movie, you've got this one. Well, there is basically just this one now, and John Krasinski's If, which we talked about last week, which has its own set of problems. But since we pretty much trashed If, maybe we should tread a little more lightly on the Garfield movie, which at least didn't overreach like If did. It's simply what it is. And what it is a CGI animated cartoon about the comic strip cat Garfield, who loves lasagna. He hates Mondays. And he loves Garfield. Cheese too. Yeah, cheese is his love language, as he says in the movie. and this is not a bad movie, but it's not the best movie either. It's kind of noisy and plot cluttered, kind of riddled with all sorts of comic bits and gags, which are in themselves okay. But the movie seems more about its cluttered plot and its comic bits and gags than about the actual character of Garfield, as at least the way Garfield's portrayed in the comic strip, I guess. That's my main knock against it. There's just all sorts of stuff going on in this movie. There's a cow romance that's
Oh.
fueling the plot for one. A cow romance, right? Which sounds kind of funny, I guess. Uh, but there's less on what made or what makes the comic strip so amusing, which was Garfield's life with his owner, John, and his beagle sidekick, Odie, right? In
Hmm.
other words, they could have replaced Garfield. They could have put another character in there in place of Garfield, and we just have the very same movie that's being advertised as the Garfield movie, you know? So, and because most animated kids' movies seem to feel they need to adhere to the structure of an action movie, this one inappropriately, I feel, falls into that trap too, and essentially winds up being less of a Garfield movie and more of a Mission Impossible action cartoon. And they literally invoke the Mission Impossible franchise with the famous theme, the Lalo Schifrin theme, and later they actually even mention Tom Cruise. So yeah, I don't know how kids will respond to this. They may be moderately amused because there's nothing offensive here. It's kind of sweet. Its heart is in the right place.
Yeah.
I was the only one in the theater, so who knows how a theater full of kids are going to react. But now that I'm thinking about it, and I hate being cavalier and dismissing a movie because a lot of work obviously went into this one,
Sure.
I think at its worst sin is that it's kind of boring.
Oh.
Um, so that's kind of the Garfield movie for you. The trailer is actually better than the actual film. And
Oh,
the,
I
the
hate when that
film,
happens.
I know, the film needed to be, in my opinion, more of what we saw in that trailer than what emerged in the final film. So, yeah,
Not recommended?
it's up to you.
Okay, it's up to you.
If you
You're
think
not
your kids,
going there.
no, if you think
Yeah.
your kids will love it, I just, take them. I mean,
Yeah.
but no, sorry,
All right.
Garfield.
We're
Yeah.
going to go, I think, international with this one. You called it Farewell, Mr. Haffman.
Yeah,
The
Mr. Yeah,
poster I found is Adieu, Monsieur Haffman.
yes, because
Hmm.
it is a drama in French
Yeah.
that apparently has been sitting in the can for a couple of years, and I don't know, maybe
Oh,
COVID has something to do with its delayed release.
sure.
Yeah, it's a French film in English subtitles, a drama, a World War II drama that takes place in occupied France, the city of Paris, adapted from a play. So that was something that immediately caught my eye. And I thought, okay, that's usually a good sign that we're going to see something literate, if it's based on a
Hmm.
play. And this one has a really interesting plot. It's about a Jewish jeweler in Paris, circa 1942, who senses the imminent threat to himself, his wife, and three children with the Nazis having, bulldoze their way into Paris, and who are now slowly starting to round up Jews to send them to concentration camps. So what happens is he sends his family to safe haven right away. He gets them, on a train and into safe haven, and then he the next day is going to join them. But all kinds of strange things happen. But anyway, in that 24 hours that he's preparing to leave, he first wants to get his affairs in order. So he wants to hand over the deed to his jewelry business and trusts this man, this assistant of his, to return the business to him at the end of the war.
Hmm.
Whereupon he promises his assistant, he says, "If you do this for me, I'll set you up with a business of your own when I return after the war." So the movie really turns out to be about this jeweler's assistant and what this guy does as events in the story unfold, as the Nazi pressure to round up Jews heats up and unpredictable events in the story transpire. There's a lot of twists in the story, many of which are surprising that you really don't see coming. There's even a couple of weird ones where you're just going, holy moly. Anyway, so this is a really good drama. It's quiet, it's restrained, it's suspenseful, it's tense, it's very well acted and directed. It's another one of those movies about, what seemingly good people might or will do under circumstances which tests their morals and
Hmm.
ethics and beliefs, their character,
Yep.
and who they really are underneath this, patina of goodness that seems to be the dominant thing in their personality. My only caveat is that the ending is a bit too tidy. It's a bit too neat. It's emotionally satisfying,
Mm-hmm.
but arguably too resolved. It involves fake IDs, and I'm not giving anything away because
Okay.
it just involves fake IDs. And it would have been perfectly acceptable for like a 1960s Rod Serling Twilight Zone episode,
Sure.
but it's a bit too cut and dried for a 21st century drama about
Yeah.
the Holocaust. But that's a minor reservation. The film is still definitely worth seeing for its overall achievement in performance, scripting, direction, and the psychological portraits it presents of ordinary, everyday people during a time of war and
And
enemy occupation. So it's really good,
you
really
say
good.
it's French subtitles, right?
Yes, French
Okay.
subtitles. Yeah, but you forget that, or at least I maybe because I
Yeah.
see a lot of foreign films, I kind of don't say to myself, "Oh, this is a this is a foreign film,"
Sure, you kind of get into
but
it. Yeah.
but it's a really good drama, and you forget within 10 minutes that you're watching a foreign language film. And again, I only say that because sometimes people go, "Oh, it's in subtitles."
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it's you're not going to notice the drama is that good. Yeah.
Film is dead. Long live film.
Yes, this one is probably my favorite film of the week, if for
Okay.
no other reason than because it just hits my sweet spot as a film geek, as a film lover,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll explain. But it's a documentary called, you said it, Film is Dead, Long Live Film. And it's going to be getting a special and exclusive screening at this year's San Francisco Doc Fest, which is why I want to call it to people's attention, and I want to mention at the end about that after I talk about it. But
Mm-hmm.
first, the film. It's written and directed by Peter Flynn, and it is essentially a love letter to film collectors. And by film collectors, I mean, well, diehard film enthusiasts for one, who collect what movies used to be recorded, presented, and preserved on, which was film, actual film, strips of celluloid, first on nitrate film, which was highly flammable, and then that was replaced by acetate-based safety film, which would then be, of course, projected through a movie projector and onto a movie screen. And on this film, which preceded, of course, the advent of videotape and digital, is essentially what comprises the entire history of the movies and television, most of which has been lost to the ravages of time. Although there's still stuff out there that needs to be preserved.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not only about the people who collect these films, who've collected them over the years in a hobby that was once considered illegal because these films that they collected and personally amassed were owned by the studios. It's a history of film itself. It's also about film preservation and our film heritage and how these collectors have contributed to the preservation of film heritage out of this passion that they had over film collecting. It's just a fascinating, entertaining film that functions on a lot of levels regarding film history, and a movie that I think deserves to be seen by as wide an audience as possible, if for no other
Oh,
reason than to raise awareness about the importance of film preservation. Kim, do you know that something like 80% of silent films have been lost to history? I think one of the
no.
other figures that's out there is something like 50% of the movies made before 1950 have been lost because the studios they considered this disposable entertainment, and they didn't see
Mm.
the long-term effect and really money-making possibilities that it had if they just would have saved their archives and not thrown the film into a dump somewhere. But
Sure.
anyway, you can see this movie at this year's SF Doc Fest on Friday, May 31st at 6 p.m. at the Roxie Theater in San Francisco. And so I urge every film fan, film lover, film enthusiast to check it out. It's called Film is Dead, Long Live Film, which is the greatest title too, because that title is like this perfect summation of what this film is about. It's like a Hall of Mirrors title because, in one sense, film is dead, right?
Right.
It's been replaced by digital for the most part, and yet
Mm-hmm.
the recorded history of film and television is still to be found on film, but waiting to be discovered. So
Mm.
check it out, film lovers. It's catnip for you all. It's catnip for me. I just love this movie. Yeah.
And here is the information about the Documentary Film Festival.
Oh, thanks for putting that up there. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
get tickets at sfindiefest.com, or just, you can Google San Francisco Documentary Film Festival, and they make it real easy for you to get tickets. And yeah, there it is, right up there
Yeah.
on the after party screen.
It said sfindy.com is the website.
Yes,
sfindy.com. Mm-hmm.
SF Indie Fest. They host a series of
Okay.
festivals. They do like an independent film festival. They do
Sure.
a documentary film festival, and they sponsor other festivals throughout the year. But then this is their Doc Fest. So yeah. So Kim,
And
have you seen anything anyway
it's at the
this week?
Roxy.
Yes, at the Roxy, right.
I forget the name of it. I should have noted it. I saw the movie. It's a rom-com that you didn't love. It was
Yeah.
with
Oh boy.
Anne Hathaway.
Oh yeah, the one about the boy band
The
thing.
boy band one. I did watch that movie.
Oh yes, the idea of you.
The idea of you. That's
you.
it.
Did you like it?
I didn't hate it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like it was kind of formulaic. It was, but it was
Yeah.
like you said, you warned me
Wait.
it was some sexy times in there, and there definitely was sexy times.
Well,
But
was
it was interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good fold the laundry movie. That's what I
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah. There you
Yeah.
go. And I think the actors were particularly good, and gave
Mhm.
gave a little added grist to the story, which was really like just a wish fulfillment thing. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
and really, I mean, where was that romance going to go? Really, come on.
Exactly.
So anyway, but
So
yeah, okay, yeah, yeah.
recapping it, you said Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is a grunge action movie. You didn't really
Yeah.
like it. You said the plot is a lot dark but artistically impressive. You have to recommend it, even though it wasn't your fave.
Yeah, it wasn't my cup of tea. Yeah.
Beach Boys, the Beach Boys on Disney Plus. It's a documentary. You loved it. You said it highlights the music, and how can you go wrong with that?
Right. What's not to like? Right.
The Garfield movie, this animated kids movie about the cat who loves lasagna. You said it's not bad, but it's not the best either.
Yeah.
You said it's noisy with a lot of comic gags and the plot's all cluttered, and you kind of thought it was boring. You're not recommending that one.
Yeah. No.
No. Farewell, Mr. Haffman, or Adieu, Monsieur Haffman. You said this is a really good drama. It's suspenseful, what shows what people are really capable of, and it is French subtitles. You really like this one.
Yeah, I did.
But your
Yeah.
favorite of the week is Film is Dead, Long Live Film, this documentary about film collectors and the preservation of films, and that you can see it's not widespread, right? You can only see it during the documentary festival.
For now, yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. Tim Sika, as always, you bring the goods, man.
Oh, well, thank you, Kim. It's
Yeah.
always great talking to you. I feel sometimes like I'm dominating this conversation. It should be more of a conversation between
No,
the two
no.
of us, but hey,
You have a lot to say, so this is
well,
fantastic.
I love that you give me the forum to just go on and on and on. So thank you so much. I always look forward to today, to Fridays, and being
Yay.
on the after party. So thanks for having me.
Tim Sika, everybody. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye, Kim.
All right. Bye.